Hey everyone, it's Average Gatsby, and welcome to my Kokari Wilds Dragon Age Guide, Part 2. So, picked up Rigby's journal. I think it's really funny that his name is Rigby. I just think of the Beatles song whenever I see that. But anyway, and I'm going to be now going back over to the left side of the map, for which I will stay on the left side for pretty much the rest of this whole section here. Now, one thing I'm going to be pointing out a lot in this video is not necessarily my good strategy, but my mistakes. I was going over this video again, and I made a lot of mistakes. And I did some pretty good stuff. Right here, I was trying to move my guys around, and I realized this is actually the best position to take up. To get up on top of this hill and then sort of lure the Darkspawn over to you. So I'm going to hit the hold button, hit the H key, so I can move around and move each person individually when I select them. And then once they arrive at that spot, they'll stay standing still. What's nice about your allies when you keep them on hold is that any ranged allies will engage anyone, the first person that enters their range from their position without moving, and melee people will as well engage in melee if they get attacked. But what I like to do is basically just keep them in a hold position until I know that they are gonna get into melee combat, and then flip off the hold button and let them sort of charge ahead. Right here, just getting this Herlog, preventing him from sort of sneaking around and getting Davith. Davith does he's just a consistent damage dealer, and I want to keep him alive. One thing I want to point out in this section is that I didn't do that I could have easily done because I had enough bows. I should have equipped my melee units with bows and just sort of laid into them as they were approaching. You have the option of switching between two different sets of weapons, and even if you have a melee character, you should at least have some kind of bow or some kind of ranged weapon, a crossbow or something on them to add some damage, because I just find that, for one, if you can set up and let them charge to you, you're already going to have a much easier time in the battles. But why not add a sort of ranged element damage to that, especially for your tank, and giving them a longer range there? It's just something, it's a very simple thing, but it's something I did over and over again on my run through the tower, which I will be uploading soon. But I didn't do it at all here, and I wanted to point that out. Something else, someone sent me a message as a tip. You can actually see all the points on the map to loot and just see chests and everything if you quick hit the tab button. If you hold on tab, you can see everything on the screen. So I'll be doing that in later videos, but I've played through this game twice already, and I never once used tab to find anything. So you can find most stuff without it, but it's just a really helpful tip. And right here, you're going to see the same strategy. I want to make sure that my melee units are kind of out of range of any sort of archers, using the terrain to my advantage, keeping Davith in the back, and going to lure them into a melee fight, and then once they get close enough, release Jory and Alistair into the fight and get around and go after them. So, right there. One thing that's really nice with the setup is you can see there's just an awesome amount of crowd control going on with all the knockdowns, and that is only going to get better as I use my two-handed swordsman. Let me talk a little bit about some of my strategy here as far as, as you can see, I don't really have a dedicated tank. I don't have a healer or anything like that. This portion, really early in the game, you don't really have that option, especially as a two-handed warrior. Two-handed warrior is not really... Well, two-handed warrior can either be a tank or be a damage dealer. Now, I'm setting up my two-handed warrior to be a damage dealer, and Jory has already been set up as a damage dealer. And Alistair, I haven't really had an opportunity to manipulate any of his stats, so he doesn't have the tanking abilities Taunt and Threaten yet. And I haven't given, and I'm not going to give, Taunt or Threaten to my player character. Right here, I stopped right there because I knew that the rogues were going to come attack me. You could hear, if you're listening, you can kind of hear this sort of growling sound whenever the gen locks are nearby. And whenever I hear that, I like to just sit and wait and not sort of run ahead and possibly trigger another fight. I don't like to get in a position where they can all get up behind me. As you can see, they kind of spawned in my midst, which was a little bad for me, but Davith was still, it seems like he was still in range with his bow and didn't have to do too much melee, so we had a pretty good time there. Here's a perfect opportunity to do what I was saying as far as equip everyone with bows. Now look at all this time it takes for these wolves to get down here. I could have fired 2, maybe 3 wolf shots at the wolf with each of my melee characters and then quickly switch back to my weapons and just pommel strike the crap out of them. And so it's it's just something to keep in mind, and I'll be showing you how to do that in later videos. Back to what I was saying about no dedicated tank or healer or anything of that nature. You don't really need a tank in this game, as weird as it is to say. I'm going to be running sort of a classic RPG setup here. I'm going to be taking 1 rogue, archer, 1 mage, myself as a damage dealing 2-handed warrior, and then a tank. But there's so much diversity in this game as far as how you can run. You can have sort of any setup you want. Some people have 1 tank and then run with 3 mages. I've seen people run with no tanks before. There's really just a lot of options. My way is kind of going to be more of a safe approach, and I feel like the tank, rogue, mage, and melee warrior setup is pretty easy to manage. You don't have to be real careful, but it's also exciting. I've seen some setups where I saw a setup that it was basically all auto-attacking archers and shale, which I thought was cool. It was very effective, did tons of damage, but it was kind of boring. I mean, they all just sort of sat there and auto-attacked, and, I don't think you would want to see that for however many hours it's going to take me to get through this. Now, for this section, I kind of like to play a little bit of a running back and forth game. Because of the gen locks that will appear behind you, I don't want to fight the emissary at the same time as fighting these gen locks, and as you can see, there's 3 of them, I think, in this first area hiding out before you fight the emissary. And if you charge in there, the emissary is going to back up anyway. And what I was trying to do in this section is run forward, get the emissary to fall back, and then return to the area, but when he returns to the area, I planned on having full health. I thought I was going to be able to back up enough to start the regeneration again and then come back towards him. But I ended up not really being able to do that, so I have to charge in and use a healing potion. I kept backing up, but I thought to myself, you know what, I'm still strong enough. I can get in here. As I've been saying before, these first couple fights in this area are not really all that challenging, so you don't necessarily have to have the best strategy to get through it. And once Davith started engaging him, I thought, might as well just charge in here, which I do, and get to throw my my acid flask. I just love using grenades in this game. They're really awesome, and they do a pretty good amount of damage, and sort of add another element to how my 2-handed warrior plays. You're also going to notice I have poison, and I haven't equipped my death root or venom extracts yet on my sword. I will be doing that for the next section, but I just didn't really want to waste them on this first area. By the way, the path that I'm following, and as you can see, all the chests that I opened up, this is, I think, kind of the optimum way to get through the Kokari Wild section with minimal backtracking. One of the most important item I picked up here is the Chastened Flatblade, which I have equipped to my player character. It's the strongest weapon right now, 2-handed weapon that I'm going to get for a little bit, so I just decided to keep that on and keep that on my character, because no reason to give it to Jory. Actually, after this fight is done, I tend to take all of Jory and Davos' armor off before the next cutscene, because they're not going to be around. Anyway, I'm Average Gatsby. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later.